I'm a big fan of working with other people, even if they have a different goal, if they have a different channel, that's fine. But just find somebody to be a part of whatever it is they're doing and help them. Be their friend, right? Provide them value. And hopefully they do the same back. And it's also sort of a numbers game. Like the first person you reach out to may not want to be your friend. Like think back to kindergarten, you know, like it may take a while to find the right person or the right fit or the right group, but it will make you a lot more successful a lot faster. I mean, think about the largest creators on the platform. I think about Mr. Beast. He always talks about like when he was really a small creator, less than 10,000 subscribers, I believe. He started a little group with a couple of his friends. I think they had a phone call every week and they just talk YouTube. I believe he said all of those friends all grew above 10 million subscribers. It just works. It works to have people who are sharing their successes so that you can capitalize and take advantage of those successes.
Welcome to Creator Files. Please excuse the construction noises because they're building a dermatology office beside our office.
Right there.
That is very loud.
Yeah. It's been really loud. Like the last 2 weeks, holy cow, it sounds like they're knocking down the walls right next to us.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to hear some of that in this podcast. You're welcome. You get to hear a little bit. This is like part of our day-to-day.
Yeah, you're going to feel more immersed. Yeah. It's the point. Yeah. So we're going to talk about VidSummit.
Yeah.
We went last year, and Ricky had gone a couple years before that, right?
Yep.
And we're going again in next week.
Yeah.
Less than a week.
It's coming up.
Really exciting.
Very, very soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is our second year going to VidSummit, and last year was amazing. I had such a good time. There was so much I think that I learned, so much that I took away. And so we just wanted to share that a little bit in today's podcast. Like, what is it? Why is it worth it? Is it worth it, I guess?
Yeah.
Who should be going? That sort of thing.
Kind of help you decide if you would want to go someday. Yeah. Are they sold out this year?
I'm not sure if they're sold out yet. I think they still have some tickets available.
It might be wild to get travel.
Yes. I've heard that all the hotels around kind of the location are just packed.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And this is going out Friday. So by then, good luck.
By then, yeah, you're probably sold out by then.
But maybe the replays. We'll talk about that too. So VidSummit is a convention for mostly creators.
Yeah.
So it's different in that way.
It's hosted by Mr. Beast, Daryl Eves, YouTube extraordinaire, and then a YouTuber named Sean Duras, I believe. Those are the three people who sort of founded it. I think Daryl and Sean Duras, this YouTuber, I think he's out in Utah. I think they are sort of the ones who founded the conference, and then Mr. Beast bought into the conference, I guess, a couple years ago. So it's something that they've been doing now for, I believe, more than 10 years. I believe VidSummit's been going on for quite a long time. Like you said, Julia, it's all basically for YouTubers. And it's not like fans. There are no fans there. It's not a meet and greet situation. It's
VidCon
really,
is more the fan one.
Yep. That's where you could go probably meet your favorite YouTuber or TikToker or Instagrammer, I guess. But yeah, VidSummit is really for creators by creators. I think that's one of their taglines.
So it's like, it's education focused and connections focused. Yep. I mean, you don't want to go expecting to make some collab connection with a huge YouTuber.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that are going to be your size. And we've actually been surprised to see that a lot of people going this year, and I'm sure last year, I don't know if we checked, have under 1,000 subscribers. So they're not even monetized. Like they're small people too.
Yep.
And so you could really connect with and learn from people that are at similar, places in their YouTube journey, and maybe people a little bit above that are still willing to talk to you. And everyone's really cool there.
It doesn't have like this exclusive club, like we're the cool ones, you're not. It's amazing because like I remember when I got there last year, of course, my first year, kind of nervous, and myself, Julia, and Ricky, we all sort of sat together for a couple of the talks and we kind of hung out. But then we sort of split off and started doing our own thing. And I, sit by someone new and, kind of have to introduce yourself. And I was just amazed at how nice everybody was. But then I was also shocked. I'd be like, okay, so what's your channel? And they'd say the name of their channel. I've never heard of it before. Yeah. And it's like 10 million subscribers. I'm like, my mind is blowing. Like, I just can't believe that there are random people sitting next to me with 10 million subscribers. Right. Like, that's just so crazy to me. But they were so nice. everyone is just there to learn and to become better. And so it's just this really cool place where big YouTubers and small YouTubers are sort of on the same playing field from an education standpoint. And so you get to interact with some really cool people.
Yeah. And they have meetups, which is probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
Because, you're sitting next to somebody in a talk and you introduce yourself, maybe you talk a little bit, but with these meetups, they're kind of scheduled. Sometimes they have a topic and then you meet up with these other people. Maybe they're in a similar niche as you or similar size channel or similar goal, some kind of topic like that. And then you just find a spot around the hotel that it's in the app. It says, this meetup is, small YouTubers is happening at 11 o'clock in this room or whatever. So you go there and then the whole point is to meet people and talk and kind of network.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels a lot more natural at that point. And, it could be a little intimidating right at first. You can even host one. Anyone can host one on the app, and maybe people won't show up, but maybe they will. We hosted one and we had
a good number of people show up.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Awesome. It was just so exciting. It's just like the energy there is sort of just very electric. They do sort of a kickoff talk where I think usually Mr. Beast is there, Daryl is there, and they all sort of, get everyone excited and, kind of prep you for the whole conference. And there's just this idea and feeling of support amongst everyone who's there. A lot of people who are there are really, trying to grow their channels or trying to take their channel and just make it a real business. And so a lot of these talks are sort of business focused, making sure that you're making the most of whatever it is you're doing on YouTube. And I just love that feeling. These are people who want to do YouTube and we're serious about it and we love it.
Very strategic.
And, I just love that. I love that piece. And really even the speakers, you mentioned the meetups, which are amazing. I loved those too. Some of the talks that I went to were really, really insightful. A lot of them were huge creators, maybe names, a couple of them names that I recognized, but then there were some that I'd never heard of before. Maybe they have a couple 100,000 subscribers. I think there was even one with less than 100,000 subscribers, but they were just really good at the one thing. They were, they were found because they were good at one thing.
Right.
And that's what they talked about. And it was really cool to hear their experience and how they had focused in on this one thing to make their channel successful. And so you just get to learn from a really wide variety of people. I went to, there was one talk that stood out to me. It was just like talking about security, like channel security.
Yeah.
And this person, that's what their YouTube channel is like protecting yourself online from hackers and that sort of thing. And he talked about an experiment that he did where he turned on a fake Wi-Fi signal in the convention center and how a bunch of people had randomly tried to connect to it and had put in passwords and just how vulnerable we were as creators. And it was just funny because he sort of did this really cool experiment, but then also he just shared ideas to help you keep your channel and account secure. And that's not something that I've really thought about very much. But that talk really made me think okay, what sort of two-factor authentication do I need to be doing and how can I protect my channel? That was just one example of some of the things that I learned of VidSummit, but that was a really impactful talk to me because it was just something that I hadn't given much thought before.
Right. And if you had a big channel, that's something that could save you so much. Your entire channel could get shut down. So one that stood out to me was, I wish I remembered her name, but she's a smaller YouTuber. I don't remember how many subscribers, but not a lot. You go in, it's a smaller room and you're like, okay, I'm curious what she has to say. It was about monetization. And she talked about monetizing her audience. And it started out where she tried a lot of different things. And what I liked about it is it seemed not so much like she got lucky, but more like that's probably the most likely path that most people are going to take.
Yeah.
Because the first thing she tried didn't work. The second thing she tried didn't work, but she would notice what did work about it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. Like she has an art channel. So first she tried mugs and merch like that with these quotes. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so funny. People would buy that. Nobody bought it. And then she noticed she had this color wheel printable thing that people were buying. And so she kept making reiterations of that. And then eventually sold this little cube thing with color cards that help people match colors. I was shocked at how much she made by it with how many subscribers she had. It was like a mic drop moment when she shows her revenue numbers and everybody in the conference room just starts picking up their phones and screenshotting her slides. But then she gives you a really solid framework for kind of how to repeat that.
Yeah.
Start with something that's not a lot of commitment, like an e-product. And then if that does well, or figure out what's doing well about it, if it doesn't do well at all, then you can easily pivot until you find something that starts to work, and then make more iterations of that until you have something that you're confident shipping if you want to do a physical product. And I think that framework would work even if you were never planning to do a physical product, but for other ways of monetizing. But yeah, I just thought of that one when you mentioned smaller creators, but they're really good at one thing. Like she's really good at that one thing. And so it feels relatable, because some of the really big YouTubers, like Michelle Carr, like, okay, you learn things from them. Yeah. Maybe one takeaway. And usually those talks are really centered around like one really big kind of abstract takeaway, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it maybe feels a little unreachable, you know? I mean, her whole example was she's took a pirate ship across the ocean. Like, I don't know.
Really cool, but also for most people, probably not going to happen.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And so I think those more mid-sized creators were just as valuable to listen to.
Yeah. And for me, I think some of the mid-sized creators were probably even more valuable. Yeah. I think I loved, there was like Zach King. He's a big YouTube magician. His talk to me was so inspiring. And some of the talks are just that. Sometimes it's a very inspirational story. Sometimes it is more nitty gritty, you know, how did I monetize X, you know? But I think that's the beauty of it, is there's quite a lot of variety. And at most, any given time, there's multiple talks going on. So you get to choose. You really get to plan out your day. But I think there's sort of this problem with conferences like this. Only a couple thousand people can go. Mm-hmm. And there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of creators online who just don't get to go. You know, we're traveling to Dallas. It's in Dallas, Texas. We're traveling from Idaho. That's kind of far. It's, going to be a day of travel. We have our friend Marcus Jones. Many of you probably are familiar with him. He's coming from Australia, I believe.
Yeah.
First, I think he said this is his first year coming. But like, can you imagine a travel day from Australia to Dallas? Like, that's got to take so long. And like, what a commitment that is. And that's just unreachable for most people. So I guess we want to talk a little bit about like, what is this like? How do you achieve some of the same value without having to show up to a conference that's just way out of reach? I mean, we calculated it out, like after ticket price, generally speaking, and then a hotel, and then a car, and then flights. Like, you very well could be paying a couple $1,000s to attend something like this. Yeah. And for small creators especially, like we did mention, there are a lot of small creators there, surprisingly, but not everyone has access to that kind of moolah. I know I don't. With my, like, if it was just me and my small channel, I wouldn't be going.
If you already have kind of a healthy channel, or maybe your channel's a baby channel, but you have some money to spare, cool.
Definitely.
But don't go thinking like overnight you're going to make a huge difference, make some connection, and then by next month your channel's going to be making a lot of money, you'll pay for it. Like, it's not going to pay itself back. Yeah. Quickly in that way, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of a long-term game. So I think there's a couple different ways, at least a couple, where you could get a lot of the same value. So I guess the first one that comes to my mind, well, you mentioned already, the replays, right? So all these talks that are happening, they're recording all of them, and they do a really nice job with all the recordings, and then they post the recordings, and you can purchase access. I don't know what the access looks like, but you can purchase access to the talks. I think it's a couple $100. So, a couple $100, maybe $100 or $200 versus $1,000 or $2,000. Like, that's a pretty good deal. You could get access to all of the information that we are going to have, and even more, because when we're there, we can't attend every talk. We can only attend a select few talks.
Yeah.
And so if you buy the replays, you get access to every single person's talk, and you could go through and you could learn a ton just from that. So I think that that's probably number one way to get that sort of educational value.
Right. Because often they have 2 talks or 3 talks going on at once. You have to pick anyways.
Yep. And a couple, I think they also usually have a couple teeny workshops at the same time, just from less notable people.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you're picking and choosing, and it's nice to not have the pressure of having to go. And I almost like watching them afterwards better. Yes. Not just because then I get more chances to do meetups or workshops or whatever, but also because you can rewind if you want to. You zone out. You can you can take notes in the conference room. It just feels a little more like you can study it and really think about it with less distractions. Whereas when you're at the convention, you're tired and there's so much going on and your brain's just, it's hard to focus.
It really is.
So those are about $200, I believe.
I think so.
I'm not sure if AI on Google said something about 14 days after. It looks like they're still available longer than that. We can still buy the ones from last year for $200. So I don't know what's talking about. I don't know if it's like maybe cheaper for the first 14 days. maybe check on that if you're interested. I wouldn't be surprised if they did like an early bird thing. Do you think it's worth it?
The replays just by themselves, I would say yes. Just for the price, 100%. Because like I said, we could spend $2,000 a person going to the conference. And if you're just going to go to the conference and sit in the talks, then by all means, just stay home and get the replays.
If you decide to buy them, or maybe factor this into your decision, make sure you actually watch them.
Yes.
Because I haven't went through all of them, and I was going to. Like, I was predetermined I'm going to watch one week, and because I missed a lot of them, or a lot of them I wanted to rewatch, and I did go back and rewatch the most important ones, but I still probably only went and watched 4 or 5, and I'm sure I'd get some from all of them.
Definitely.
So don't let it be like a course that you buy and don't use. Make sure you have a plan to really actually watch them.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the other aspects.
Yeah, I mean, so let's say you're paying $200 for the replays, and a ticket and travel and everything costs $2,000. Well, okay, that means you're paying $1,800 for the networking and the collaborations. Yeah. I personally do believe that they are worth that. The connections that we made last year, I know that both of us went to a ton of different meetups. The people, like I said, that I sat by and talked to and got ideas from their channels and the ideas they gave, or that I was able to help them with. Like, it was just really good to be there. So I don't know. That part is hard because when you put the price tag on it, for anyone who knows me, I'm a cheapskate. So like, that's a lot of money. That's a big price tag.
Yeah.
So is it worth it? Yes, I think so, if it makes sense. But how do you get that if you can't go? How can you tap into that networking? How can you tap into the collaborations without going to a conference? I guess that's a big question. What are your thoughts on that?
You can reach out to people individually, which usually works for us. But we're also fairly well known, especially among the people we're reaching out to.
Right.
So I don't know how well that works for the average creator.
I think you need to understand what your pool looks like.
Yeah. Similar size.
Exactly.
Similar topic, or actually at least something complementary.
Yep.
And then your chances are better. And then,
exactly.
You can probably get a lot from the connection. Like, you don't have to make a connection with somebody huge to make progress. In fact, if you make a connection with somebody huge, let's say that something really good comes of that. They agree to do a cameo on your channel or be on your podcast or give you some advice. Look at your channel for a second, right? That's going to be short-lived. It'll give you a little blip, but it's not like a long-term relationship because they're too busy. They have too many people wanting a long-term relationship with them. With a smaller creator, and that's what we benefit from the most, big and small creators for us, but these people who we can kind of develop a real relationship with, a real friendship, and feel like, we think of them often like, oh, this person would be perfect to ask about this, or they'd be great in this video, or maybe they want to do this with us, and things that are mutually beneficial. So I would say really aiming for those like ongoing relationships. And you don't have to start it with that. It gets terrifying if you're messaging somebody like, wanna be best friends?
Want to be my friend?
but you start slow, feel it out. Maybe you don't vibe like you thought you would initially.
Yeah.
But maybe you do. And then you keep it going and try not to lose touch.
I like what you said there. It's about building relationships. It's about making a friendship. Even, internet friendships are funny, but they work. And I would agree that people around the size of your channel or in a topic similar to yours, those are going to be the people that are far away most valuable because they're in a similar situation as you. They want more, they want more outreach. They want more exposure. They would benefit from a little bit of audience sharing back and forth, whereas a large creator doesn't care as much about that. Maybe it would help you, but it's not going to help them as much. And I think the best relationship is the one where you can both mutually provide value.
Yeah.
And so I do think that you can get that. Make one connection. To me, that would be the biggest piece of advice. Like at VidSummit, it's a whirlwind. It's like, I'm going to get, I'm going to meet a ton of great people. I'm going to get their numbers. I'm going to try and keep in contact with some of them. But at some point, there's only so much you can do, right?
We met so many people. We put so much time into meeting people.
Yes.
And kept in contact with like
a couple. Yeah.
Not
just very
many.
few. I know there's only a few that I have kept in touch with. A couple people there I know that you met that we've kind of kept in touch with a little bit.
But they're going again this year, and we've talked to them. We're excited to see them again.
Yes.
And, more things might come out of that in the future. So, and it's just healthy to have a sense of community if you're working on a channel, especially if like that's your full-time job and you're not seeing people in a, any kind of professional setting at all. Just to have like the camaraderie of other people working towards the same goal, I think is really good just for your motivation and stuff. Even if there's no like dollar amount that you can noticeably get from it, it's just going to help you like not get burnt out.
If there was one thing that I wish that we could just like bottle up the energy that we feel at VidSummit and just sell that or give it away for free.
Give it to you.
Yeah. Yes. Just like, I wish we could just pass that on just a little dose of it.
Dump it onto the microphone.
Yeah. Because it's just so good. It just makes you so excited. I just know like when we came back from VidSummit last year, I was just so pumped and so excited, whether your channel's thriving and you just have a ton of great ideas or whether your channel's struggling and it gets you excited to work again. I really wish we could bottle that up. I wonder if you could get some of that from the replays, maybe a little bit. Like creators like us, we try and bring some of that back. We try to bring some of our excitement, tell you what we've learned. But it's just not quite the same. It will never quite be the same. Like when you do a successful collaboration and you feel excitement around that, I think it's similar to that.
Yes.
And so even if you just found one person in your niche, if you can't go to a conference like this, find one person in your niche and try and do something with them. It is scary, but it's so worth it. And it gives you that excitement, that little tingly excitement.
Another option, even if you don't find somebody in your niche, I think you should look for somebody in your niche. But maybe in addition to that, or even if you don't find somebody in your niche, finding somebody else who is just maybe at a similar stage with YouTube, maybe totally trying to publish a similar frequency, or, if you find somebody else and you relate to them a lot with maybe their approach, or I think it works better if maybe you're both kind of a similar type of channel, like both maybe a little bit tutorial or education focused or both entertainment focused, but then you can kind of bounce ideas off each other and talk about what you're excited about. Like, I love when I have a video idea and I get to come to the team or you and say, hey, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
And I don't know, we don't even always end up doing it, or it changes a lot, but it's so much more exciting, even in the moment that I'm coming up with the idea and writing down my initial thoughts, knowing that I'm going to get to share it with you guys. And so finding somebody that you can do that with, we have seen that work so well in Project 24, where people get into focus groups and they get monetized at a very, very high success rate.
Much faster than everybody else.
Yeah. It's like the biggest indicator of how people are going to do in Project 24. If they get into a focus group and they're meeting, like doing a video call once a week or once every other week or even once a month, just having that community, like that's a big factor in sticking with something that I don't think a lot of people realize. I mean, you've probably heard this, right? Like if you go to a gym, you're more likely, you have these people you work out with, like you're more likely to stick with it. It's pretty proven. And so applying that to YouTube, especially since it's all on the internet, is very important.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. Like, even if it's not on the front end of your channel, like if they're not showing up on your video, they don't have to show up on your videos. They don't have to, do little cameos. That is collaboration, yes, but collaboration is way more than that. And it could just be on the planning side and the ideation side and just having somebody who's in it in the same way you are.
Yeah.
I think that makes all the difference.
Yeah. We are doing a workshop. I wasn't even going to bring this up, and I just remembered. We're doing a workshop, and it is going to be a virtual workshop, so you don't have to pay to travel. There's going to be a couple different tiers of how much you get, but it's going to be very kind of like hands-on. You're going to be working through projects so that you actually have things to show for it by the end of the workshop at whatever tier you are in. And a lot of community. I think we're going to try to pair people off into focus groups, like ongoing focus groups that they continue to be a part of after the workshop. It's going to be, I believe we're going to do a Friday and Saturday where you could do both days if you're available, or one or the other if you're not, for a different price. And I think that's a really good way to get community.
Definitely.
I don't know if we have the exact price yet, but it's going to be cheaper than VidSummit. I promise you that. So that would be a good way to.
Yeah, great place to start.
Yeah, just to get kind of more community around your channel.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of working with other people, even if they have a different goal, if they have a different channel, that's fine. But just find somebody to be a part of whatever it is they're doing and help them. Be their friend, right? Provide them value, and hopefully they do the same back. And I think it's also important to remember, like, it's also sort of a numbers game. Like, the first person you reach out to may not want to be your friend. Like, think back to kindergarten, like it may take a while to find the right person or the right fit or the right group, but it will make you a lot more successful a lot faster. I mean, think about the largest creators on the platform. I think about Mr. Beast. He always talks about, like, when he was really a small creator, less than 10,000 subscribers, I believe, he started a little group with a couple of his friends where they They call, I think they had a phone call every week and they just talk YouTube. And he said, I believe he said all of those friends all grew above 10 million subscribers. It just works. It works to have people who are sharing their successes so that you can capitalize and take advantage of those successes.
It really does. And it doesn't matter. It really, like you said, it really doesn't matter if they have a different kind of channel topic.
Yeah.
Like we do full-time masterminds as part of Project 24, where every once in a while we will have a video call, or sometimes people come to the office in person, and it's for people who have earned a full-time income off of their channels or sometimes their websites. And, you know, they're coming in like really excited to meet us usually, or asking us questions. Like the main structure of the mastermind is they are asking us questions, and we are answering those questions, but I learned from them a lot too. Yeah. Like they'll share things that they've been trying and it's working for them. Yep. And I learned from them a lot too.
Yeah. Just in 2 masterminds ago, there was someone who talked about a certain monetization type. And I was like, ooh, I need to try that. And now I'm making $300 to $500 a month. Yeah. Just from that thing that I learned in that one mastermind from somebody in Project 24.
That's crazy.
Like pretty crazy. And it's so exciting. It's so exciting. And now we chat in the community. I'm like, hey, how are you doing this month? You know?
Oh, nice.
And so it's really fun, and not just fun, but it's lucrative. Yeah. So pretty exciting.
Yeah. So whether you go or not, I mean, you know if you're going by now or not.
Maybe 2025. Yeah. Shoot for 2025.
Or get the replays. But I would say maybe it's even more important than the replays to focus on building community. You know, check out forums. Check out Project 24, our workshop.
Definitely.
There's a lot of options. Or reach out to people. You can find their email usually in the About section of their page on YouTube. If you don't know this, you can click, like, sometimes you have to do a CAPTCHA thing to avoid spam. And then it'll show their email address. Shoot them an email. We usually keep it pretty casual. Like, yeah.
If they're looking for somebody, they'll respond.
And I mean, you don't have to have some big pitch.
Yep.
I have found, I don't know, it's a little funny because sometimes I'm like, I'm just trying to build a connection. Like, I don't have something that I want from them right off the bat. And so I'm just like, hey, you know, like I really like your videos, like what you're doing. We're in a similar topic. Like, I'd love to chat sometime. And sometimes the responses I get are like, I'm not sure what you want from me. And I'm like, I just want to like make a connection, like, some community.
Can we not just be friends?
Yeah.
Question mark.
And then actually they're usually willing to do that once I explain a little more.
That's interesting.
I think they're just maybe suspicious. Maybe so many people are reaching out with a secret agenda where they know what they want right off the bat. And so maybe they think I'm hiding that and I'm just genuinely trying to make a connection. I don't know. You could pick your approach. Or if you have a solid idea of something you want to do with them, tell them. That's fine. But it doesn't have to be. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't wait until you're like, well, I don't know how I would collaborate with them, so I don't want to reach out. Just reach out. Well, we will probably be back with more VidSummit stuff after VidSummit and fill you in on a lot. So excited to do that in a couple weeks, and we'll talk to you later.
See you guys.